Well, it looks like the day we waited for quite a while. No chance of rain today. Absolutely no rain in the forecast. Now, what that's going to mean is, because I got part of the back masking removed yesterday, did the touch-ups, I'll be able to reverse back mask today and get some paint on it. Boy, I can't wait to see that with all the paint on it. And once the paint is done, of course, the big thing, and we're going to take extensive time doing it, is get our own custom decaling made. I'm really looking forward to that. That's part of the job I always enjoy, the badging, decaling part of it, but we got to get the paint on first. And anytime we have really in between, there's still a lot of parts to polish. I still have to work on my blinker headlight assembly that I have some custom ideas for. Got a lot of little things that are non-paint related on this, but the biggest one right now is to get some paint. Get that yellow paint on today if we can. Now it's super early. Of course the sun isn't really up over the houses, but I'm going to have my coffee and start planning out this day. Very nice. This should be, and should get up, it's about 35 now, should get up around 40. So what point we're up to is we got to do the reverse backmasking. In other words, the only thing that's got to be open to the spray gun is going to be the parts that are going to be yellow. And because we've got some of that done already, the parts on there that are white, we don't need to backmask them, the bottom of the seat. But we do have to cover up anything that's painted black and make sure we haven't taken off or gotten any of the tape stripes crisscrossed. It's a little confusing. I'm hoping we're going to do it with a minimum amount of drama. Now I'm always pretty careful to look and make sure I have left the blue stripe down. The blue stripe's on the edge of each blue tape, the thing. So we're ready to backmask. And of course, I always credit Walt Prey with sharing this information. He really was good at sharing, at least the time I knew him. And I got a, oops, look at this. I got a cheap roll of tape. Is this really? Oh, that's on me. Oh, I hate when tape does this. It's unbelievable. Anyway, you would think when you pay top dollar for tape, you would get top dollar tape. Not always. Anyway, I'm good. Pretty standard how I want to get. I want to get as much of it to be non-tape, as much tin foil as possible. Sometimes that's real easy. Sometimes it's very inconvenient. But the tin foil does keep a lot of the tape residue off. And now this is, and there's a piece at the top of this. I have to be real careful now. I want to show this. Now as I look for this edge, where this is going to be, I can kind of pick that edge up right in the tin foil. It just makes it easier. I can cut that to the right dimension and minimize the amount of overage, I guess is the right word. The idea is if we took any kind of paper or anything, there would be joints in here, and I think this is the best of all worlds, is the tin foil. And one thing for sure, one of the tips that's real good is just, for some reason, you do need a new razor to do this, a sharp blade. Don't use those Harbor Freight blades. Boy, they are terrible. One of the few things I found at Harbor Freight that I really am not crazy about. Now I got to be careful not to get any tape down in that area, any paint down there. So I'll seal that up as good as I can. Now what this means is that every part of this part that's exposed right now, I want to be sure I haven't screwed anything up. This is going to be white. I just go back in look at my sketch, my concept sketch. This part's going to be yellow. That's the stripe, yellow at the top. We got one part ready for the next step. Oh, one final thing is just I'm tack ragging each part down real carefully, feeling. I can feel if there's any rough areas. If there are, I'll just touch them with, and I mean touch them with some 600 sandpaper dry. So far so good. Since this is going to get painted, it's not even really important if we went through in any spot, but let's hope we don't. Now we're ready. That one's ready to paint. Boy, I hope the weather holds out today. I'm excited about seeing this in yellow. Now, even the last piece, when I was all done with it, I double-checked it and found out I forgot to put the piece of blue tape over that last stripe. So, well, you can never, in this case, you can just never check your work enough. Unbelievable. Now I'll do the same thing with this one. And this tin foil that I've used for so many years really has, in the past, and I have used paper and that wax paper that they sell at body shops and everything. Me, it's just the devil I know. I like it. This method has worked so well for me with the airplanes and with the motorcycles. A second part in the bank, and I'm doing my double, triple check. I don't know if it's just me, but I really get paranoid about forgetting to tape something or forgetting something, or at the end of the job, I say, what was I thinking? And this is just one example of if you have a helper, it's always good, because he could look at the drawing and say, that was black in the drawing. This is, and you think it's never going to happen. If you think it's never going to happen, it means you've never painted a motorcycle. Well, we got 2 of the 4 parts done. I just can't wait to see them in yellow. I have a lot of anticipation, and then to know that once we put the clear on that yellow, how nice that's going to, and believe me, that's going to buff out like a mirror. A yellow mirror. Worst of all worlds. I'm down here doing this, and I hear noises upstairs, so I go up to see what Karen's doing. She's baking cookies. So, Christmas cookies and getting my paint job done, they're in conflict here. We are going to try to get this in yellow today. I will be really happy if we do. I don't know why I anticipate that so much, but I do. I guess everybody does. After all these, we're into this over 2 months already. But you know what? This kind of work, unless you have an unlimited budget and you can, when you're doing this and trying to do it yourself, I guess we're not doing so bad. Oh, one more part to go. One more part to go. Now, I always check. Well, maybe this is a good tip. Maybe it's something you already know. Just before I'll get all this cleaned up, tack rigged, and just before I go out to spray, I'll take my fingernail and go along the edge of that tape. And even doing that, you get a little dust sometimes from the overspray. But what it does, it minimizes it. It just minimizes it. Now, this is why I always emphasize how important it is for me anyway, because of my limited time and rather a limited budget, I guess would be the right way of doing it. We're just in a position where we try to get the most bang for our buck. The last part here, it'll be self-explanatory how that goes on. But now that I've got this ready, boy, I've said it about 20 times already. I am just waiting for that day we pull the tape and see this paint job for the first time. And that's coming probably within the next couple days. All prepped. The weather hasn't changed. In fact, if anything, it's gotten a little better. But we're going to go with it. I'm going to mix paint. We'll be ready to paint in a few minutes. Another secret to my my illustrious success. Always have a cup of coffee before you spray. So what I tried as an experiment here, I don't know if it's going to work exactly the way I want. I had the gun set so it's spraying a lot like an airbrush, very light, very low pressure, and I wanted to just put coat after coat after coat on. The weather's cold, of course. The idea that I can get a lot less buildup around the edges. The airbrush seemed to work good. Well, I'm giving this a try because this would take a long time to paint with the airbrush. So this is kind of a compromise, but we're going to see how that works out. And of course, ultimately, it'll have 3 coats, except these coats are going on, as I showed in the fast forward, over and over and over with almost like what an airbrush spray is, not a full spray gun spray. Again, a good time to experiment. Now, I suspected this might happen. Bad weather is rolling in, so we're going to have to get moving. Now for sure we got a storm rolling in here now. I hope I can get these parts, well, I'm just hoping I get the 3rd coat on. But you can see what I'm doing. I'm trying to put it on like a giant airbrush just to see if those edges are going to come out any better. And if they don't, it'll be a tie. It won't even matter. Yeah, other than losing the weather here, this is turning out to be a good day. Boy, it's going to storm any minute now. I can feel it. Oh man, we are just sneaking this in. No, I really didn't get a 3rd coat on this today like I wanted to because the weather's so bad out there. It's basically going to rain any minute. I don't want to be out there. And we have black clouds following us around and everything. But I also had another issue. The little triangle piece that goes in the fairing. I want to show this. This is an important thing. From time to time this can happen, and I want to show you how to get around it. Now this is a typical thing that can happen, and it happens randomly, and I never know why. These parts are so old, you don't know what kind of contamination was under the paint remover, whatever. But there's a solution to this, and a lot of people that I've spoken to let this dry and then sand it down, but I have my own solution. Now this is a really good tip. This is the kind of problem you never have if you worked in a real body shop with all new body parts and you never had to paint in the rain or in the snow or whatever. But this is, you know, we're living off grid here, let's face it. So what you do, if this ever happens to you, this is lacquer thinner, but you can use acetone, you can use urethane thinner. I just happen to have some. And I look for that area where that part is not happy. And literally, you can see what I'm doing. Wipe everything off. Wipe it right down to bare plastic if you can. Or in this case, I think, yeah, this is plastic. Why am I not surprised? But you wipe the whole part down now. If you see, I'm down to that's the plastic there. Then what I'm going to do is, once it's done, once I have it all down to where it's raw plastic, lightly sand it with 600 and put that primer sealer on. Now, I may have put primer sealer on here, I don't know. But I obviously didn't seal everything in. But this is a raw plastic, we just wipe, and it's easier to do if the paint is, acetone will actually work a little better than this will, but it's no big deal. Now what I did, I was painting a Honda tank one time, and I had this issue. Something just like this. Of course, we're painting 40-year-old paint and 30-year-old paint and whatever. And who knows what, you know. The guy at the factory could be eating sushi or something the day he painted it. But this solution And of course, just get this out into the garbage as soon as possible. If you know this solution, you don't have to panic when you see that, what I call alligator skinning. This is a great tip. It's worth its weight. It's worth watching the videos just to pick up tips like this. I wish people gave me tips like this years ago. I had to find this stuff out. I had to invent a lot of it. Well, but anyway, we'll get this down, reprime it, and all will not be lost. This is a great tip, by the way. So now the sealer, in theory, would seal this, the paint that's on top of it. I'm going to wait, let this dry overnight, or dry some amount of time up by a heating vent. Give it at least 3 coats before I even sand it. And make sure when I sand it, I don't go through any place before I paint it. But then, of course, it's got to be painted white and then yellow, or else the paint's not going to match. But I'm not in any rush, and I'm kind of glad that I could share this tip with you, because anybody that ever paints knows this happens, especially when you paint 40, 30-year-old plastic. So in the interest of sharing a really good tip, and I just got a phone call from Turbo Steve. He's going to come over and get his decals set, or show me where he wants them. And so, but the weather is gone. It started out looking like we were going to be in painting heaven, and went downhill in a hurry. So we're just going to hang out waiting for Turbo Steve here. And if he gets the decals on, obviously we're not going to do it today. But it's ready. This is ready for the clear. And boy, we really need some weather. Today really went downhill in a hurry, boy. It looked so good this morning. But that's even more reason to what I said on the previous video. Get everything prepped up and be ready to go the minute that sun shines, if you live in the kind of climate we live in. And if you don't, you should move here, because it's a lot of fun. So I've tried to get everything under the heating vent here. Even though it was out in the garage for a couple hours, it still stinks a little bit, and we try to keep the stink in a house to a minimum, of course. But remember, when you're dealing with old plastic parts, this is a good tip. And Turbo Steve actually was the one that brought the first can of this over. The only issue with this is you put enough on and don't sand through it. Decal master is here.
Where does it peel?
That's why I'm paying you. You're the decal man.
I'm getting my dollar back.
Call Pete up.
I want him to come down here.
Yeah, and install it. Right, install it. That's for
Give me
sure.
a blade.
Mark had some decals that were so difficult to get on. I mean, we sweated for 2 hours to get 2 decals on.
There we go.
These, oh, you got fingernails. You're cheating.
That's for playing guitar.
You must do office work. Well, no work at all.
I'm
That's even better.
Trying for the no
Even
work
better.
at all.
Look at this.
Look at that. Oh,
he's got nubs.
That's beautiful. It's like
Okay, that
silver.
looks like it's coming off. Yeah, what?
Yeah.
Don't let it start eating the paper up.
I know what I'm
Oh, you know what you're doing. You've been a ninja for many years now.
I just
Now,
trained
don't
by
put them on
Morgan.
upside down like Morgan did. You know, the fairing's upside down. It could be YAMAHA.
Well, it depends on how the bike might end up upside down. You know?
It might, Ed.
It's like that shirt that's
With you on it. All right, now, let me hold the part. This is from Morgan.
How do you put a decal on?
Oh my God, look at this.
Look at that.
It's coming on beautiful. Look at this.
Look at
And being
that.
upside down won't matter at all. Boy, that
So
looks
the bike's
good.
the bike's gonna end up.
Wow, look at this, right?
Look at that. Now the trick is to match the one on the other side.
Well, I'm going to measure them. Put a piece of tape at the back, and you'll know how far away from the back it is anyway.
Oh, that looks so good.
That looks great. I'll tell you, you're an artiste. I may have to raise the price of this job. Now, this one should go on upside down,
I'll
just
give
for
you
laughs.
double what I'm paying.
Double my salary.
Yeah.
2 pizzas. Fighting you work. Now that you're a real ninja. Look at that. Let me get a picture for Luciano. A real ninja. This is not a fake one either.
With the double headlights, they only made 5 of those.
That's right.
From
That's
Kawasaki.
right.
They were the Japanese.
This has 10 more horsepower. Through this box of decals, trying to find the word Kawasaki that would match, but obviously this is not. Oh, we got some ninjas here. We got some Yamahas. We got some Kawasaki's. There's what we need. So we're done here in the shop for the day. We didn't get our 3rd coat on. The weather is not cooperating, but we got the decals on. And now the next thing on this project, of course, is the clear. And we will be waiting for a really paintable day. Not going to take any chances on that. What a wonderful rendition they did of my face. And actually, what I'm going to do is I'm going to use this to my advantage here. I always try to use, when something goes wrong, try to use it to my advantage. I'm going to look at each one of these parts tomorrow morning, because there may be some little areas that I'm not happy with. Now see that one piece that we had the problem with? There's always problems. Or that goes without saying, but I really want the whole thing to look perfect. So I'll look at each piece. If there's any imperfections, I still am at the point if I did have any. And by the way, that thing that I showed over here, that works good if you have a run on a part. If you get a big run and you don't want to have to wait and dry for it to sand it, wipe the paint off too. That works great. And I've used that a lot of times for various reasons. But now another thing I know for a fact, this stuff, if you don't put the third coat of yellow on, it may look good today and it may look good, but at some point in time, it just isn't yellow that I want this to be like, because I have that vision of what I want it to be like, and to be honest, that's what I want it to be like. So anyway, you've enjoyed another day in Wendy's shop, the adventures of restoring old motorcycles with Turbo Steve and a cast of characters. Well, thanks for watching.